right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Inside the FLX. I'm Josh Durso, and today I'm joined in studio by Chris Lajewski. He is the Center Director for the Montezuma Audubon Center up in Savannah, and as always, he comes by once a month and we talk about all the things going on out there. We are really starting to shift gears now. It's feeling more like summer out there, and I'm curious, when the weather starts to get a little hot and muggy, what does it start to get like out there in the Wetlands complex?
It's always birdie around the Montezuma Wetlands complex, so this summertime heat doesn't change that at all. We still have a great number of warblers, vireos, and other songbirds in the forests, out in the grasslands. The marshes and swamp habitats are also being utilized by breeding birds. We call them secretive marsh birds because more often than not you're going to hear them calling from deep in the reeds and other native vegetation in the marshes rather than see them. So it's a great time to be out at Montezuma. We just encourage folks to be prepared for a few mosquitoes. You can't get away from them this time of year. They are pretty abundant. So if you just take the proper precautions, folks can still have a fantastic time at Montezuma.
A little bug spray goes a long way, right?
Yep, long sleeve, long pants, that helps as well.
You guys recently had your annual benefit. Every year around this time, golf tournament, silent auction, the whole 9 yards. You talked a little bit about it last month and getting ready for it. I'm assuming everything went off without a hitch. Great success as always?
Big success. Couldn't be happier with the outcome of the annual benefit that was hosted by the Wayne Hills Country Club once again this year. This was our third year over there, and once again, Seneca Meadows was title sponsor. We had so many golf hole sponsors this year, more this year than ever before. It was one of our largest events in terms of number of participants, which was fantastic to see. And if you look at the financial component of it, the virtual silent auction plus the in-person silent auction, the bucket raffle that we had going on, all the golf games, we raised over $16,000 for bird conservation and habitat restoration projects. That's the second most successful event that we've ever had. Given that we're coming out of the pandemic, I wasn't really sure how it was all going to go. Could we even proceed with an in-person golf tournament and lunch and dinner? Well, we made it work. It was successful and couldn't be prouder.
I was going to say, what did it feel like there was a little bit of pent-up demand, energy, excitement around having something that felt more like normal?
I think folks were just excited to be together with their friends, some of their friends that maybe they hadn't seen in a year other than on a Zoom meeting. So it was a beautiful day, a great golf course over at Wayne Hills Country Club. And I think that this bodes well for us at the Montezuma Audubon Center looking ahead to this year and then certainly beyond. We're on an upward trajectory here with fundraising, and so that's going to allow us to connect with more people, inspire them to make changes in their lives to help birds and protect the habitat that they need in order to survive.
You mentioned second most successful, financially speaking, $16,000. How far does that go? What does that do? What are some of the things that you guys are able to do thanks to that fundraising burst here in the middle of the year?
Well, we're starting our new fiscal year here on July 1st. So this puts us on a good path here into the new fiscal year, FY22. We have so many great programs coming up for families, a lot of guided tours, habitat restoration projects, getting volunteers out and helping to remove invasive species and plant native vegetation. But the one series that I'm really excited about launching here in this new fiscal year is a youth leadership program. We've been doing a lot of school field trips and scout programs over the last 14 years that the center has been around. And we have incorporated bird conservation projects into those youth programs. But now we're going to take it to another level. And this fundraising effort that we just accomplished through the annual benefit and certainly more to come will help us to more significantly bring youth that could be middle school or high school students here locally, or certainly college students or recent grads, engage them in in habitat restoration projects through a lot more volunteer opportunities. We have this idea for internships now, hopefully paid internships, to inspire, educate the future stewards of our habitats, and then get them on that ladder of engagement, keep them involved in the conservation field, hopefully with the National Audubon Society, and get them involved in a way that is meaningful, that they can understand that they are making a difference at Montezuma and wherever their career path and life path happens to take them. So we have so many biologists at Montezuma, both DEC and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Audubon, that these youth will be able to learn from, engage with, rub elbows with, and get more information on how they can make conservation their career path. Really exciting stuff coming up.
I'm curious, too, because that must also have a little bit of an overlap effect in just sort of ingraining conservation mindset, even if it isn't a career path, in those young people, and sort of taking some better habits environmentally moving forward, I would presume?
You're exactly right. We can all do something for birds and conservation. Little steps in or little changes in our daily lives that will improve the chances that birds are going to survive, give them habitat. One of the things that we constantly talk about at Montezuma is what people can do, whether they've got a small apartment in an urban area, they might have a quarter acre in Seneca Falls, for example, or they may own several acres out in rural areas. There are things that people can do. Native plants, that's really a simple one, and you can put a native plant on your patio, or several native plants on your patio, which would encourage species like ruby-throated hummingbird to come drink the nectar from. That'll help them survive. Removing invasive species is another one. And also participating in community science projects, bird watching from your backyard in an urban area, suburban or rural community, and keeping track of those birds, entering it into eBird, which is that online database that Audubon uses to understand where the birds are and where we're doing enough conservation work and maybe where we need to do just a little bit more.
And of course, we always do a species spotlight each month here on this episode. And once again, I'm not going to try and pronounce this bird because it is a warbler, but a special type of warbler as it would be. Walk us through what we're talking about today.
The species spotlight is the prothonotary warbler, which looks similar to a yellow warbler, which you may be familiar with because the yellow warbler is solid yellow from head to tail. Now, the prothonotary warbler has a yellow head, chest, and belly, but the wings and the tail are dark gray to almost black in color. So, really rare bird for us here in New York State. It is more common down in the lower Mississippi River Valley and the bottomland swamps of the southeastern United States, the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. We here in the Finger Lakes region are pretty much at the northernmost extent of this bird's range, which makes it really unique. We have several places around the Montezuma Wetlands complex where they are breeding right now. Folks want to go out for an adventure, they can paddle the north side of Howlands Island and the Seneca River. They nest in there. They're also nesting on the Clyde River just to the west of Mays Point, between Mays Point and the village of Clyde. But really the most convenient location to find the prothonotary warbler is on a road called Armitage Road, which is on the south side of the town of Savannah. And Armitage, where Armitage Road crosses over the Clyde River, is where they are nesting. There's a bird box right there along the side of the road. And once again this year, the prothonotaries are nesting in there. It's a really unique species because it will nest in cavities, holes in trees, or bird boxes if you put them out there. But it needs to be near water, and swamp habitat is preferred for this really unique species. Great opportunity to see it at Montezuma right now, taking care of its chicks, getting them to fledging stage, which will probably be coming up in the next month, and then they'll be back down to the Andes Mountains for the wintertime.
I was going to say, what's that window look like? Like, how long are they here for? When's that, is it a couple weeks where at Montezuma you're going to have a good opportunity to see them, or is it a little longer than that?
It's longer. We've already been seeing them for about a month. They came in about mid-May this year. So here we are, mid-June. They're busy tending to the chicks in the nest, and then by late July, they're going to be out of the nest, and they're going to be a lot more difficult to find. You may get lucky and see them, or certainly hear the sweet, 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 sweet that just reverberates throughout the bottomland swamp habitat. That's Prothonotary warbler song. And then, like I said, they'll be working their way southward, probably first to the southern states, the Gulf Coast states, where they'll stop, rest a little bit, build up some more energy and resources, and then head down to the central and northern portion of the Andes Mountains in South America to spend the winter.
And we've got some bird watching opportunities coming up here. Talk to us about what's going on with those.
Well, this week we've got 2 bird watching tours. We've got one coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, June 23rd, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then again Friday evening, 6 o'clock in the evening. Great opportunities for adults and families to come out, learn about the Montezuma Wetlands complex, learn about where you can go to find the Prothonotary warbler, for example, or the cerulean warbler, which is another great warbler species for us at Montezuma. So these are 2.5-hour long tours. They're driving tours. Folks follow our van in their own vehicles. We give them a conference call number so they can hear our educator narrate the tour. Our guests can ask questions in between the 3 or 4 stops that we make during the tour. It's a great time to see bald eagle, chicks nearly fledging from the nest. They're not quite ready yet, but over the next couple of weeks they should be leaving the nest, so we're going to see more eagles soaring overhead. Osprey are tending to chicks in the nest right now. Another unique species that's really coming to focus for us are the Sandhill Cranes. We have them breeding at Montezuma as well. We're starting to see the adults and the chicks walking around the grasslands and the wetlands of Montezuma. There aren't many of them. There are only about 6 pair that breed at Montezuma every year. But we have a handle on where they are, and we're going to be highlighting those locations during these upcoming tours.
Okay, quick Sandhill Crane question, because every once in a while we play in a golf course. Obviously, I golf a lot. And I will see a single Sandhill Crane. Is that just a bird that tends not to group together with others very often, or is it just because there are so few of them around that you tend not to see more than one at a time, or one in one location at a time?
Well, this time of year, if a Sandhill Crane is breeding, it's going to be with its mate, and it's likely going to be with a chick or 2 chicks. But nature happens sometimes, and for whatever reason, maybe one of the adults doesn't survive, or a predator may get to it. That happens. As difficult as that is to take and understand, sometimes it does happen. So that might be what you're seeing. But also the great blue herons are another one that you're probably more likely going to see along a golf course. Certainly we have dozens and dozens of great blue heron nests around the Montezuma Wetlands complex right now. They nest in trees typically, and they will prefer to nest with other great blue herons, so you end up with a rookery or a group of great blue heron nests in the trees. Shockey Pool down at the refuge just north of the thruway is actually one of the best locations to see a rookery and dozens and dozens of great blue herons.
Very, very cool. Birding and boating. We've got something else coming up here. Talk to us a little bit about what's happening there.
Well, this time of year, it's a great time to be out paddling, canoeing, kayaking with friends and family, reconnecting. We're going to be doing so many of these guided paddling tours throughout the summer months. And our last one coming up this month is on Wednesday, June 30th. That's going to be an evening paddle from 6:30 to 9. And one of our favorite spots to paddle is right at the north end of Cayuga Lake at what we call Mud Lock. That's one of the lock systems on the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. It's also known as Lock Number 1. So we're going to be meeting there next week and launching into the north end of Cayuga Lake and then quickly getting into the lock. So this is a really rare experience because people are not Sure, a lot of times if they can go through the lock system in a canoe or a kayak, well, we can. You can, it's no problem. And there's so many boats, motorboats that go through there. A lot of times the canoers and kayakers will fit in with those motorboats. It's no problem at all. So it's a 10-foot drop from Cayuga Lake down into the Seneca River. It's a gradual decline once you're in the lock. You just hold on to a rope and the water level drops, and it takes a few minutes for that water level to drop to 10 feet. Doors open, and then off we go into the Seneca River. From there, we're going to have bald eagles and osprey, warblers, vireos, swallows, Caspian terns, probably great blue herons as well, right in that stretch, because it is right along the swamps of the Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge in there. So great opportunity for families to come out and paddle. Folks don't need to have their own boats. We can provide them. We rent them out. We have solo kayaks, tandem canoes, the life jackets, and paddles as well.
Very, very cool. As we look ahead through the holiday weekend into July, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to as we get into the real heart of summer? Some of the things that you most look forward to.
Well, back in the late winter, we received a grant through the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor that has helped us to lead so many of these tours that we've been talking about all spring and now into the summer months. But an activity that we're going to be implementing here as we get into July and August and September are the water chestnut removal projects and hydrilla surveying projects. So water chestnut is an invasive plant species. We know pretty much where it is in the complex. We mobilize our armada of volunteers. We go out in canoes and kayaks and hand pull the water chestnut from the waterways, improving the quality of the habitat for the birds, the fish, and all the wildlife that are in there, and making it easier for people to enjoy the waterways around Montezuma as well, making it easier to fish and swim and boat. Great activities. The hydrilla is a vegetation or an aquatic vegetative plant that is in Cayuga Lake, but we're fairly certain is not in the Montezuma Wetlands complex yet. So by mobilizing volunteers and surveying for key areas, especially around marinas and locks and any type of boat launch area, we're going to get a handle on just if the hydrilla is in the Montezuma Wetlands complex. Hopefully not, but if it is, we're going to quickly notify U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which is the agency that is managing hydrilla in Cayuga Lake at this point. And we'll also let our Finger Lakes Partnership for Regional Invasive Species Management folks know, and they're out of Hobart and William Smith. They're also doing some significant surveying around the Finger Lakes region for hydrilla. It's devastated parts of the southeast and Florida. We just want to make sure it doesn't get into Montezuma.
You guys, every month it seems like we talk about hydrilla, and it seems like you guys are being super proactive about everything out there. Does it feel a bit like it might just be a matter of time before that next step has to be taken and more aggressive measures have to be taken, or does it feel like something that you guys can legitimately keep outside the wetlands and prevent it from getting in?
I'm confident that we can keep it out because we've been surveying for it for a number of years, and our conservation partners have also been looking around for it, and we haven't found it in Montezuma yet. We know where it is in Cayuga Lake. It's being managed, being treated there successfully. So we just constantly talk about it because the more people hear about it, the more they're going to be aware. They're going to be looking for hydrilla, cleaning their boats, draining their boats, drying their boats, clean, drain, dry. We're always
clean,
clean, drain, dry. That's how you prevent the invasive species from moving from one water body to another. And if everyone does that, then we can keep it at bay and keep it out of Montezuma, and Montezuma will remain the critically important bird area that it is.
All right, Chris, where can folks learn more about the Audubon Center, and then also keep up to date week to week on what's going on out there?
Montezuma.audubon.org is the website, and then folks can click on programs and events for all these upcoming tours and volunteer opportunities. Also, we're active on Facebook and Instagram, constantly posting cool photos, information about birds and conservation, and tips on what people can do in their backyards, in their communities to help birds and other wildlife.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. We'll be back live next Monday at 11 a.m. In the meantime, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks as always for listening. We'll see you next week. Inside the Finger Lakes is a production of FingerLakes1.com digital media. The show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to shows like this one. It's hosted by me, Josh Durso, and if you want to hear archived episodes, visit InsideTheFLX.com. If you have an idea for a show, email it to josh@fingerlakes1.com or follow me on Twitter at FLXJosh, where we keep the conversation going all week long. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here next week.